Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com, where music comes to life. And my guest today has long proven himself to be one of the great frontmen to come out of the 80s LA scene. We spoke a little while back when his band L.A.Guns put out their last record, Checkered Past, and they're back now with their 15th release. It's just a monster of a record called Black Diamonds. Please welcome Phil Lewis. Welcome back, Phil.
Hi, how you doing, man? Good to talk to you again.
Thank you, thank you. And so Black Diamonds, I mean, your 15th record, none of your peers from that era have come close to that output.
Yeah,
It's the fourth record you guys have done since the reunion. At
yeah.
this point, what really drives you and Tracii to keep creating new music?
It's interesting that you say it's our 15th release because I never really thought about that. And that would make sense. For me,
Mhm.
it's our fourth release.
Yeah.
I think of this band as there's like Mark 1 and Mark 2,
Mhm.
2.0. This is LA Guns 2.0. Uh, and there are there's a vibe that's very similar to the early LA Guns, and obviously physically it's who we are, but we've come a long way in our abilities in our writing and our performing, and yeah, a long way from those early Show No Mercy days, which we're real proud of, and we embrace them, and it's a big part of our live performances. Is we get a kick doing those songs, um, knowing that it's the soundtrack to a lot of people's lives, soundtrack to our lives. But this post reunion recording is this completely different creature. It is like um, it's an aspect uh, of the reunion that I was really fascinated by. We hadn't spoken to each other. Tracii and I hadn't spoken to each other in something like 15 years. And I think when we finally did bury the hatchet and we did decide that we were gonna work, it was like we were making up for lost time. But he he's a very prolific. When I say he, just assume I'm talking about Tracii. Uh, he's a very prolific writer, and as I said, the thing about um, one of the big appeals to me to do the reunion is the fact that he had all this great material. Because what I was doing prior to that, I hadn't released anything in something like 3 years, and I wasn't happy about that. So we've more than made up for lost time, I feel. And to let you in on a secret, Jeff, we're already started the next one.
That's always good to hear. You know,
Yeah,
I think more than just creating music to put out there, you guys are putting out quality music. And I think if you look objectively through your catalog, these last four records are some of the best you've ever done. And for my money, Black Diamonds leads that pack.
yeah.
From a
I feel
writing.
I always feel like the latest one is always the
Mhm.
best one. Um, and it's interesting. We spoke about we did an interview for Checkered Past,
Mhm.
and what a completely opposite record to make that was.
Mhm.
All at home, locked up, pandemic, um, no interaction other than like this Zooms and file exchanges. To do a whole record, we did the whole record like that, and it sounds cohesive,
Mhm.
but it's just that we were at no point were we ever in a room together
Mhm.
playing those songs before they were recorded. They were all like basically constructed, and the pieces were sent in and put together. Um, this record, oh well, this is completely different. This is us in a room, like cooking, like like working out ideas and putting in suggestions, and it was just so much fun. And we were actually recording on the tour bus during our last summer tour, during we're out with Kiefer, we'd have a day off, or we'd have a few hours, and we just get out the laptop and the interface and start putting it down, and it was really, really good to be immersed in that, especially after the record before, which was so isolationist. And yeah, this one's got a lot more. It's got a lot more heat on this one. It's a lot more physical than the one before, and I really like Checkered Past, but it was just, I feel like many things, it was a victim of the pandemic. We didn't get a chance to play much of it live. We play Cannonball, and great, and I'm immensely proud of that. But I think, I think you're right. I think we have, I just feel like we just get better with every record, and it's supposed to be that way, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and if I could tell you, the thing that I like best about this record is it comes off really as a great overview of what L.A. Guns is. You have the real heavy stuff of the last, the post reunion, in a track like You Betray.
Yeah.
You have the big ballad with Diamonds. But then you have something, and honestly, Diamonds song blows me away. But the song Low Life, to me, that feels like it was born at the Whiskey in '85, Absolutely. Right alongside One More Reason.
Right, Babylon 2 and Like a Drug. Yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about this band is we can do anything, and some of those songs you described, that at the end, they're not the big metal opening song, and certainly not the big epic ballad, but the other stuff, like the 3-minute stuff, is really, really cool, and I think it's youthful, and I attribute that to Johnny Martin, our bass player and writer, of course, and Ace Von Johnson, who also collaborates and writes, who wrote the Like a Drug, which is at the moment my favorite song on the record. It changes, but that's the great thing about this band. We were raised on bands like Zeppelin and The Who, and they would meander musically. They would go all over the place, and there might be a folk song, there'd be a blues song, and we were just raised. When I said we, Tracii and I, were just raised with that mentality, and every song should be a bit different. Now there are bands that have made a tremendous living and made lots of people happy with doing that one dimension thing, like, I don't know, like AC/DC. You never heard an AC/DC ballad, and I don't suppose anyone would really want to. But much as I love that band, and I don't think I'd be very happy being in a band like that, or Motorhead or something like that, where we were just restricted to just playing that one style. I like the fact that we can shapeshift a lot.
And that comes across in your live performance as well. I love the fact that on your tour last year, all of the post-reunion records were represented.
Yeah.
So many bands put a record out and you never hear anything from it again. I love the fact that you guys keep bringing those songs into the set.
It's very, very tricky. It really is, because sometimes we barely get 60 minutes on stage. Other times we get a lot longer. We can be up there like 90 minutes, an hour and a half. And that's when we can do more new stuff. We like to pepper it with new stuff, because that's, that we get a kick doing it. But there's also, we got to pay the bills, and we can't not do Electric Gypsy or Sex Action or Never Enough. These are staples that I think people would be pretty upset about if we didn't do them. So it's always a juggling act, and it's only getting harder now with these 4 records, what to pick, and we've got it down to 3 that we're gonna. We know what three we're gonna do to start with, but we're not sure where we're gonna put them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're working on that. But we're gonna do You Betray live. We're gonna do Diamonds live. Mm-hmm. And we'll do Wrong About You. I think the boys are wrong about you. So it's a bit of everything there, a bit punk, a little bit, and the big ballad, and the big metal opening.
You guys have always made your bones as a live band. I remember the first time I saw you was the debut album tour opening for AC/DC, oddly enough. Yeah. And seeing you now, you still sound good. And especially you as a vocalist, because it's hard as you get older. And a lot of your peers either sound like crap or are using tracks, but you guys bring it every night. I mean, what are your thoughts on, either using tracks or, if at some point you feel you can't do it?
Oh, no, I don't think it's come to that point, anywhere near that point. I'll be honest, the early stuff, I didn't vocally set the bar that high. It's just like, if you listen to like the end of Bon Jovi doing Little Runaway, it's like helium voice. It's like squeaking up there. And I would never do that because at some point you've got to go out live and do it. So I would never do anything that I can't do live. There are some nights when, oh my God, I would love to have just the safety net of it, but that's not what we're about at all. I'm patting myself on the back because that tour that we did last summer, it was about 8-9 weeks solid. And towards the end, we were really cramming them in. We were doing like 6, 7, 8, 9 shows in a row. And that's tough on the scene. It really is. But I was incredibly focused, incredibly disciplined. I was so focused on getting through the end of it, and like that tour had its challenges, and I could just taste that finish line, and it would just, I did not want to fuck it up. I didn't want it to come off the rails. So yeah, it was a lot of that. No, I mean, I can understand like a stadium tour with a lot of visual stuff going on, needing backing tracks. You have to do that. Well, I mean, it's a funny thing that there's a band like Motley Crue comes to mind that absolutely needs them. And then there's a band like Rammstein who don't use backing tracks. And if ever you'd think that there would be a band that would, you'd think Rammstein, but they don't. They do it live every night. So yeah, I mean, given the choice of seeing those two, it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. You had mentioned earlier, and even when we talked last time, how you and Tracii went a long time without speaking before the reunion.
Yeah.
What's your relationship like now that you guys have worked so closely over these past 5 years?
Yeah, well, I mean, as I said, we just really felt like we wanted to make up for lost time. The argument was so far long ago that we pretty much forgot what it was about to begin with in the first place. And we know each other really, really well. I mean, we probably know each other longer than anyone else in each other's lives now. And so we just know how to each other's boundaries. We know how, what just we understand each other very well. And that doesn't mean for a second that, oh, well, we don't interfere with each other in each other's lives or personally. No, that's not true. We do. There was, there were times during that last tour he was having a hard time, and things did get really, really personal. I really feel the fact that we have so many years under our belt as friends, um, was it enabled me to do that.
Mhm.
But if any point it'd say, look, fuck off, Phil, it's none of your
Yeah.
business. I would, I
Mhm.
Trace, I know Tracii to be that way
Yeah.
if that's how he felt, because we know each other that
Mhm.
well. And if he did, I wouldn't be offended. I'd be like, okay, all right, yeah. And that's just the way we are.
Mhm. Yeah. And now the record's coming out on April 14th. Will you guys, do you have another summer tour planned? What are your plans going forward this year?
We got a show at the Whiskey on the 15th,
Mhm.
uh, as sort of a party for it, something of a celebration for it. But no, not really. I mean, it'll be great playing our favorite venue, playing new stuff at our favorite venue. We've got a gaggle of dates coming together on the West Coast, and then there's some stuff in the latter part of June. There's some East Coast states like Illinois and some I think like places we haven't been in a while, like Nebraska.
Mhm.
That'll be interesting. But yeah, I mean, there isn't like a big um, album tour
Mhm.
launch in preparation. Nothing
Yeah.
like that.
Well, hopefully we could get you out here in Connecticut soon. It's been far too long since I've gotten to see you guys.
We like Connecticut a lot, and I do a lot of interviews
Yeah.
from people up there. You guys, you like your rock up there.
Yes, we do. And now you sort of answered this question way back at the beginning when you hinted that you're already working on the next record. But what do you see as the future for LA Guns? You guys have been on this torrid pace of every 18 to 24 months having something new out. Do you see that continuing, or, do you kind of see it slowing down a little bit? Where do you see the future right now?
I certainly see another album on the horizon. I don't see there would be a problem with that. Um, I I'm looking forward to it. Actually, I'm delighted that that people, you and other people, feel that we're making progress, that it's getting better, and I feel that if we can do one more, I'm not sure I want to go much further than five, to
Mhm.
be honest, but certainly have a crack at another one,
Mhm.
and that would be a great way
Yeah.
to 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 round it off.
Mhm.
I'd look forward to it. I haven't heard much at all, but I'm not worried about it.
Mhm. Well, we've been spending some time here with Phil Lewis, the legendary LA Guns. They are back with Black Diamonds, out everywhere April 14th. Phil, as always, can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Great, great talking to you. Next time we're in town, please come out and be our guest.
Of
And
course.
yeah, thank you and your followers. Cheers.
Thanks a lot, Phil.
Bye bye.